If you were a famous author like J.B. Priestley, you would need a library as big as his for your work. You could perhaps manage with a few less pipes, but Priestley likes plenty to choose from and never works without one in his mouth. Watch him and notice he uses only 2 fingers to type with. He's become so engrossed that his pipe's gone out and he has to light up again before he can go on. Will those typewritten sheets become a new bestseller like The Good Companions, or another of those famous straight-from-the-shoulder broadcast talks? A knotty problem has cropped up that needs a bit of thinking out.
Hello and welcome to another week of From Piccadilly to Wigan Pier. As you can see, it's quite dark and it's just about to rain, which perhaps might suit the mood of this course now that we've entered the 1930s and the Depression. So this week we're looking at a book which appeared in 1934, English Journey by J.B. Priestley, who was a very famous figure at this time for his range of works, both as a playwright, a novelist, and perhaps most famously for his radio broadcasting. He became one of the most famous figures in Britain during the 1940s for his series of postscript talks which appeared on the BBC. So here's a book that was produced in 1940 based on them. They're well worth a listen, and perhaps most famous of these is the postscript he gave shortly after the Dunkirk evacuation, which is one of the most famous images of Dunkirk. So anyway, on to English Journey. And English Journey is described as a rambling but truthful account of what one man saw and heard and felt and thought during a journey through England during the autumn of 1933. So English Journey is much more wide-ranging in the regions that it looks at than a number of the other accounts that we look at in this course. So I've selected a range of passages from this book, looking at life in Coventry in the West Midlands, on Tyneside, and then some broader reflections on Priestley's journey which appear at the end of the book and which offer a very famous account of Britain in the 1930s. So this week we're looking at some regions which we don't really look at very much and which don't really get remembered very much in the public memory of what life is in the 1930s. So it's worth thinking about how a relatively affluent and prosperous area like Coventry compares to some of the other regions that are the main focus of other authors such as Orwell. Now Priestley is a very interesting figure because he's got a particular interest in the leisure of the working classes as well as issues of work, and he's got a great eye for everyday detail. Priestley's travelogue can be seen as very much a state of the nation book in the same tradition as famous works from the 18th and 19th century by figures like Daniel Defoe and William Cobbett. And with its breadth of discussion of the state of the nation across the country, it's always a very popular book to look at, particularly for the longer essays that we study.